Hi, I'm Jody Worrell. Today we're going to learn a fairly simple country rock solo. This solo is designed to capture the sound of Toy Caldwell from the Marshall Tucker Band while still being playable by guitarists at most levels. The track we're using covers D, C, and G. The first thing I'll do is play the whole solo one time. Let's look at that first 4-bar phrase. Alrighty, here's phrase number 1 in our country rock kind of style thing. We're in the key of D. I'm thinking of it. Here's the 12th fret, you can see. So I'm kind of putting myself in this D major pentatonic kind of position. So that's the 7th fret is where I'm kind of parking my first finger, and the other one's 8, 9, 10. I tend to be a 4-finger player, so you might need to make some fingering adjustments sometimes. I don't think so on this particular lick, but sometimes if you don't use your 4th finger, and some people don't, we'll make some adjustments, and we'll look at that when it comes up. But anyway, we're going to start off by playing the 9th fret of the 3rd string and bending it up a whole step. And that's bending our 2nd to our 3rd in our chord. So if you look at a little D chord right here, this is the note I'm going to arrive at, but I'm going to get it from here. So that's our first note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So that is, you see that 11 and a D bend down to 9. We're just going to play that note again, release it, and a release of a bend is not necessarily this. We're not doing that. We're bringing it back down. We have to maintain the pressure toward the guitar, but release the pressure toward the ceiling. You know, release the sideways pressure, but keep the downward pressure going. We don't want this. That's not what we want. So I'm playing that note again, already bent, coming down to 9, and then I'm playing the 7th fret of that same string. Now you could pull off to that 7th. So that's a choice you can make too. Then I'm going to go back up to the 9th fret and just play it. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's a dotted quarter, 1 and 2, and then that 7th fret is and then tied over to the half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then I'm going to hammer on from 7 to 9. This is in our 3rd bar. That's a half note. 1, 2, back to 7 for the next half note. 3, 4, and then wind up with my last note being the same as the first. So we're making a loop. We're going. Very melodic, very simple, but it really follows the chords and makes it to where we're kind of making a little melodic statement. So one more time, it's 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So there's phrase number 1. I'll play that one with our track. Okay, we're going to trade that phrase back and forth with the track. I'll go first, I'll leave the space after me for you to play, and we'll each do it 3 times. Okay. Be sure and take your time and work on that trading section till you can play it perfectly all 3 times. Let's move to the next 4 bars where we move on to higher notes to build some interest. Alrighty, we're going to start off with I'm going to get in a slightly different position here where my 3rd finger is associated with the 10th fret. Used to be here. I was kind of down in here. I'm going to go up here. 3rd finger is on the 10th fret of the 2nd string, and I'll bend it a whole step up to the 12th fret. And that's a dotted quarter, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. So we got that bend, then we're going to play the note that we bent, but it's going to be unbent. So you need to be able to stop the note, unbend it, and then play it. I do that with my pick. You can choose to articulate that a little differently if you want to. All these things are just skeletons for you to change up and put your own kind of expression into. Then I'm going to play 8 to 7, a little slide, 1st finger, very fast notes, 16th notes. So 8 to 7 slide and right back to 8, all on the 2nd string. And then 8 to 10 and back to 8. So you can see those 2 little places where there are double flags on those notes. Those are the fast ones, those are the 16ths. So we go a 16th, quick 16th before the 8 and the 16th afterward. So we're going a little 16th under it, 16th over it. Three, 4. Then we get to our C chord in the 3rd bar. I'm going to jump up to the 8th fret of the 1st string, There's a C chord. That's a nice note to play over a C chord is a C note. That's always going to be a true fact. Then we've got a little, after playing that note, we're going to do a triplet, and that's where we split up. We spread 3 notes over the place where 4 notes or 2 notes would be, whichever way you choose to look at it. And they sound kind of spread out. Ba, ba. It's like 1 and 2 and da, da, da. 1, 2, Sorry. So we've got this much. Triplet. Then back to regular old timing. 10th fret, 2nd string, 3rd finger. And that's just a little 8th note. So then we immediately, we're going to go to the note that we started our first phrase on. But we're in a different position now. We're going to bend that 9th fret up a whole step with our 2nd finger. And I'm helping out with my 1st finger. Invariably, I will help with any downriver fingers for bending. So here's the whole thing. 3, 4. There's phrase number 2. Now I'll play that phrase with the track. Again, we're going to trade phrases with the track with me going first. Remember, 3 times each. Now you. Again. And you. Last one. Okay. You're going to get the most out of this in any lesson by taking your time and practicing each section till you've mastered it. Believe me, you'll be glad you did when it's time to play the whole thing. Now let's look at our last 4-bar phrase. Alrighty, we're going to play some higher notes, really kind of take this thing out on a high note, a literal high note, and a figurative high note. We're going to bend, we're going to get into a new position here. It's going to move around a little bit, but for the moment, I'm thinking about this D chord right here, which is like this. It's hard to do way up the neck, but. So I'm going to bend this E note up a whole step to turn it into an F sharp, which is the top note in this chord. So, and that's that's like your regular little D chord. If we're at the bottom of the neck, this would be the nut. Here would be like where our D chord goes. So we're going to bend this note up into that nice third, that nice high note for our D chord. But I'm going to bend it. Excuse me. Then unbend it and play it. It's Three Blind Mice. Then I'm going to play 12 to 14. And you can finger that any way you want to. I've got us going bend with the third, unbend with the third, down to the first. Then I'm moving the first finger right here. But you could go, or it's all up to you. Sometimes a little difference like that is the difference between it being really comfortable and really something you can dig into and play with meaning, or having it feel really weird and foreign. So make your choices about that. So once we do, by hook or crook, get from 12 to 14, then I'm going to bend 14 up to 15, half step, let it come down. And when I say let it down, we take it down, like I said before. Down to 12, then to 15 on the second string. Remember our D chord up here? Again. That gets us there. Third bar, we're going to come back down to our old position, our old new position, anyway. 12 up to 13, half step bend. We're bending up to this. I'm thinking of this C chord right here, which is the same notes as this. Bend to 12 to 13 on the second string. So bend it up, then play it. And you can choose to go, but do it in time. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3. And whether you can make that note sustain that long, that kind of boils back down to your tone and how you got your amp and your guitar set up. I've got a little bit of distortion here, so it is, so the notes have some sustain. It's not just dead clean, but it's not real distorted. Here's a half step, 12 to 13. Let it down, then play the 10th fret on the second string and the 12th fret on the third string. Then down to the 11th fret on the third string, and here we're back into our D chord. You can do a little half step, hammer on it if you want to. But we don't want to mess with this note at all. Hear how awful it is? Whew. So that's a little bit of a scary proposition, because we don't want to give it any chance for that note to have any airplay. I like that pull off. So here's our whole thing. 3, 4. Phrase number 3. Let's hear how that one sounds against our track. I'm rolling that track one more time. Let's trade licks on phrase number 3. Now you. Again. And you. Last one. And you. All righty. Another great drill for you with this lesson would be play the licks with me and in between in the trading section. Now I'll play the solo in its entirety twice. Play along and try to catch up if you get lost, rather than starting over. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and it helps you bring elements of the Marshall Tucker Band sound to your own original solos. I'm Jody Worrell, and I'll see you next time.